Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe one word to Cineplex. Cineplex has nothing to do with Cineplex Austria, Cineplex Canada, Cineplex Asia, or somewhere else. It just belongs to Germany, and it's very unique because it's a cooperation of 26 families who run their cinemas, well, 1/3 over 100 years. We are right now the biggest brand in Germany, and well, I'm very lucky that I'm conducting this group since more than 20 years. And well, it's an interesting group, and I've never seen something like it well, nowhere in the world at this size. So, thank you, Jan, for inviting me. Some people who might have heard this presentation in Brussels or in Baden-Baden last year, they are maybe interesting to get some new insights at the end towards the numbers and figures of 2019. But the mainly information I have here is for 2018. So I'm very pleased to give you today a short form of lecture that I gave in the German Cinema Congress. It goes back to a study I had long cherished on the differences in cinema visits in Europe and America. And I've tried to establish different contexts, and I hope you find the results as exciting as I do. And at the end, I will focus the figures from 2019. Since the topic of connections is often marked by fixtures, correlations, we want to make at first one about it. So what do you think it is here? It's the tobacco consumption in Germany since World War II. And this one is traffic death in Germany since 1953. And this is a mount in the Alps. And this, well, here is the cinema visit in Germany since Second World War, and I'm sure that you agree with me that the similar course of the curves has nothing in common with tobacco consumption, road death, and even the Alps. So by the way, the basic course of the curves is likely to have been similar in all Western industrial nations. So here I have spread the period of the last 30 years a little closer, especially to show the fatal development in Germany in 2018. With a decline of 15% compared to the previous year, 2017, we achieved the worst year since the beginning of the multiplex era in the early 90s. In order to approach the actual question, I have included various Western European countries in my analysis and combined a number of industry and economic indicators with the aim of identifying rules and that may help to find a way out of Germany's misery, or at least provide sufficient explanation. First of all, the overall visit and the per capita visit are considered. So here it is interesting to see to see how the visit in the industrial countries was spread out. In the year 2000, there were 68 million visits between Italy and France, Italy at the bottom and France on the top. And 20 years later, there's a spread of 115 million. And between Germany and France, there were 13 million a gap in the beginning, and now it's 100 million. So, and here is the frustrating picture that Germany, whose cinema park can certainly be regarded as of high quality, is at the bottom of the league with 1.3 visits per capita. The other two German-speaking countries, Austria and Switzerland, also suffered similar declines last year. With a few exceptions, this applied to many European countries, although United States and UK had particularly strong growth rates. In the following, you can see a somewhat more precise development since the year 2000 for the countries considered. The list is sorted by visit per capita, so it starts with the US, and as a development in 5 annual steps. It can be seen that the majority of countries have seen declines. This is particularly evident in the German-speaking countries, Spain and Belgium, which have all lost a third of their visits since then. The Netherlands shows a contrary trend in Western Europe with particularly strong growth, and in Poland, comparable with many other Eastern European countries. Of course, it is also remarkable that more than 20% of the visitors in the film country USA were lost. When focusing on the box office results, the visitor development sometimes gets lost. In fact, I consider them to be a more important indicator than the sales of tickets alone. So now we turn to the admission prices, which we, however, set in relation to the monthly income and thus get a different view on a perceived price. I add in this consideration that all tax covers regarding income has been disregarded, knowing that they can have a relevant effect. So here you can see an overview of the monthly income before income tax. Switzerland is on the top, Poland is at the bottom, and the other countries are in between. US, Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, Austria, Germany are above Germany, and the others below. You can see it here. What I did now is I set the current average ticket price in each country in relation to the monthly income. And you can see that Germany is roughly in the middle. So Germany is the 0 point, the relation between the German ticket price and the German income is 0. And I did the same with all the other countries. And Poland, Sweden, Denmark, Spain, UK, and Italy are in some cases significantly more expensive. Even the ticket in Poland, which is cheap from a Western perspective, would have to be much cheaper in relation to income. Tickets are comparatively cheaper in Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and Switzerland, and the United States. This perspective is really interesting, but it would not have to be considered in terms of income tax, but as I said, but in terms of the costs of the tickets. Let us come to a factor of the availability of screens or screen density in the respective country. Germany has a relatively low screen density and the lowest per capita visit. This could suggest that more screens could be an admission driver. However, there is no conspicuous connection. Here, a further evaluation would be useful, which shows how many people of a population have access to a cinema within 30 minutes. And perhaps you also have to look at what kind of offer and what kind of programmatic variety is available. Let us now look at screen density and the number of visits per screen. This consideration is particularly important at a corporate level because it makes it easy to see the profitability of cinema operation. The range between 17,000 visitors per screen in Sweden and about 40,000 in the UK and Belgium. The impact this has on profitability can be very well illustrated as the visit per screen is relevant in terms of investment costs and ongoing fixed costs. So let's now move on the most interesting part, namely reach or range. This describes how many % of a national population visits a cinema at least once a year. Differences in measurement must certainly be taken into account here. In Germany, for example, there is a lack of under 10-year-old citizens and non-Germans. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Guillaume from the UNIC, who has provided me here with European figures. The fact that Germany is also at the bottom of the league here gives an idea of the connection with per capita visits. At the other end of the scale, visitors are strong countries, France, the USA, and the UK, which can mobilize 70% and more of the population to go to the cinema. Here, once again, a look at the German market. To the German market. The peaks in visit and reach are mostly the years in which an international blockbusters, as well as some very strong German films, attract visitor groups to the cinema who otherwise rarely or never go to the movies. Here, the clear connection between per capita visitation and reach is clearly visible, even if an international comparison, albeit some outliers. And the same applies to the relationship between screen density or cinema density and reach. In the next step, I calculated the adjusted visit per head. So I divided the total attendance among the population who goes to the cinema. It can be seen that cinema is moving up from its last place to the middle of the field. So you can say that those Germans who go to the cinema have a comparable visiting behavior. All in all, however, there are simply too few of them. So and here's a small example. With 37% reach in Germany, we achieve 105 million visitors in 2018. 1 percentage point of reach is about 2.8 million visitors. With 50% reach, it would be 37 million more. And with a reach like in France, it would even have been 200. And a reach like in France, it would even have been almost 200 million visitors. And now to the results. Drivers of cinema attendance is, for me, the most important is reach, influencing the national cinema attendance enormously. Price, compared to the national income, is also essential. The domestic market share, which I didn't focus on in this presentation, has also a strong influence. Density and reach has a medium correlation, and more screens help a little bit, but reduce the admission per screen. Unemployment, number of films, and other things do not vary. Have not a big impact from my perspective. So what happened in 2019? So you see the difference between 2019 to 2018. And Japan and Germany had about 14%. Spain, the countries Poland to Spain are on a quite normal level. The UK lost less than 1% of its admissions, and the US lost almost 5% of the admission. So if you have a second look on the admission per head, you still see the USA, the country with a comparable huge visitor loss, is still by far the most successful cinema nation. In Western Europe, only France still represented a per capita visit of more than 3. Japan and Germany, and this also applies to Austria and Switzerland, are at the bottom of the league in terms of per capita visit. Spain and Netherlands, with medium growth and average per capita visit rates, appear rather inconspicuous. Great Britain still has a very high per capita visit despite the small loss. And if one classifies the results with the respective visiting careers in the individual countries, a different picture emerges again. For the countries Japan, the Netherlands, France, and Poland, one has to go back decades to find a year with a higher attendance than in 2019, sometimes more than 50 years. And also in the UK, there was only 1 year in the last 50 years, namely 2018, which was better than the last year. Finally, the USA had only 1 year in this century, 2017, with a worse visit. And also for Germany, despite the growth in 2019, there was only 1 year in the last 30 years that had a worse visit than in 2019. We learn from that fact that every country has its own visit biography. We also learn that visit changes and per capita visits are difficult to compare. I welcome any constructive dialogue that does not only explain but also offer perspectives for improvement. Thank you very much.